It's high-speed business at a record pace.
Get 70 miles per gallon on this.
It's a ship that made a castle.
Yeah.
This is getting so smooth.
The technicalities
Oh, heck yeah, man.
are so
Although,
just the craziest technicals.
but welcome to the episode tonight. Welcome to the show.
Thanks,
I
Max.
don't, is it changing?
Is it on
I don't
auto?
see it changing. It's still just the wide shot. Bear with us.
Oh, it's producer Kevin is on it.
Producer Kevin, feel free. Oh, there we go.
There we go. It's
Nice.
magic.
Now we're a show.
Now we're a real show.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Everyone in the chat.
Yes.
Again, we're hoping for another repeat of the last chat. Kevin spent a few days in therapy and now he's back.
He's ready to tackle all the new questions being thrown at him. It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a good one because it was an amazing race weekend.
This is the stupidest, best season opener that I can remember
Oh my gosh.
in recent times.
And I'll start off by saying I have never been even more excited for a qualifying session in my life.
Yeah, totally.
And it led into one of the craziest race openers that I've ever seen.
It was
super fun.
so good.
So good.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. I'm still
Yeah.
buzzing.
I mean, our last episode, we gave our predictions and
Wrong.
So wrong. So all weekend wrong. I was like, dang it, wrong on that. Dang it, wrong on that.
Yeah.
I should have just gone with like the opposite of everything I predicted.
Totally.
Yeah, like, but what are you gonna do?
I felt like the thing that was the most apparent to me as the biggest mistake was that Nico Hulkenberg was so much faster in that Sauber than any of the Haas cars were.
Oh, the Haas is one thing I have written down that like I am dying to talk about because oh gosh.
That was not a great showing.
No.
But I remember that being like my boldest but also most confident opinion was that like, yeah, for sure Hulk is going to be like, oh man, it's the worst move of my career.
Yeah.
But turns out I was wrong.
Turns out he might be pretty cool right now. He's living large right now. Yeah. Geez. Yeah, I was very excited for qualifying, and I honestly, I don't remember being that excited for qualifying ever. There was just, we had been like talking up these teams for months and just wondering. And this year, I don't know, it got to me more. Maybe it was because there's new drivers. I feel like on every team feels different. The cars were kind of close last year. So I was just anxious to see like who has actually been sandbagging through all this preseason testing, then all the free practice before the race. Like, let's finally do this.
Let's see who's actually got something.
Yes,
Like
let's
a real thing.
go for it.
Right.
Yeah, and it was wild. Yeah,
It was nuts.
yeah.
Well, and then, yeah, so many layers to that onion. I have thoughts galore, but I kind of want to, let's get started.
What are your
Wherever you wanna
thoughts
get started.
galore?
It's hard. I don't want to go like too crazy out of order here. But
Yeah,
like,
let's just start with qualifying.
Okay, yeah.
And we can rehash that real quick.
What were your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I was honestly like very sad with Haas.
Yeah.
Like honestly, Haas fan.
Yeah.
But I was hoping that they would at least like, you know, be as good as they were last year.
Right.
They seem to have taken a massive step back.
Yeah.
And we won't even mention the race right now, but just in qualifying, they came in last.
Right.
And that wasn't good because V-Carb, which we thought would be last, who they beat last year, Yuki was in fifth.
Yeah.
It
so
was
fast.
wild.
Yeah. Another one of my predictions gone wildly wrong.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Insane how fast they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say. Well, anyways, continue. Is that
Oh.
pretty much your main thought for qualifying?
that was one of the first ones for Haas.
Okay. Yeah.
And then McLaren just seems really quick.
Super fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. We knew that like every session was sandbagging. And we were texting each other watching practice and being like, Lewis just set a purple sector and then like gave up.
Yeah, during practice.
Yeah,
he
you're
literally
like-
was blitzing the first sector. He's like, and
Yeah.
just like cruised the rest of the time. It's like,
Stop it. Just show us what you
show
got.
us the car.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
so qualifying was going to be the first time that we were going to see what does everyone's hand actually look like? Is the car fast? What's the pecking order really going to be?
Yeah.
It's really, especially to like this time of the season, what is the first race? Qualifying is really going to be the first time that we see it. So was definitely way anticipating that, just like you. And it was still kind of confusing. I felt like there was people showing their hand and doing a great job.
Yeah.
But the top 10 was covered by a second.
Yeah.
So it was
so
really close.
Yeah.
Williams and RB were super fast.
Look crazy fast.
Yeah.
Like they shouldn't be up there.
No.
Yeah.
Kimi Antonelli had an off during his lap and got a rock lodged under the Mercedes and screwed his lap up, and he started way back. And I remember kind of being pretty hopeful that he was going to be able to show a decent qualifying performance, because there's the ultimate hype is Kimi. I know Ollie Behrman's got a lot of hype, but I think Kimi's really the one that's got all the hype. And him having a bad qualifying was such a bummer.
Yeah. Yeah. It was such a bummer.
But we'll revisit that topic.
What is that corner that a lot of drivers seem to hit and it flicks up dust?
Yeah.
Every time they did that, I thought that's bad.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like Lando and Oscar kind of nudged it, and yet they're pulling pole position.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is that? Like,
so last year, that corner, the gravel trap wasn't as close.
Okay.
So this year they pushed it closer to the turn because of what happened to George Russell. Because you remember he went off, it crashed.
He complained a lot.
He was like, I'm going to die. The red flag the race. I'm going to die.
Drama queen.
Yeah, it's such a baby.
Laying sideways in the middle of a track.
Yeah.
Drama queen.
Like, why would he act like that? It seems so obvious to just calm down.
Yeah, calm down, dude.
Yeah, he's just like, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag.
No, but seriously terrifying.
Yeah. So they moved the gravel trap
just
closer to the apex.
Year.
Yes. To try to slow the cars down before they got to the barrier, so that way they wouldn't projectile back onto the track.
Oh, do you think that worked?
No.
Because they were hitting that.
All it did was just cause a giant mess.
Because wasn't gravel just going all over the track then?
Yeah.
And they don't sweep it off.
No, they can't. And so, Fernando Alonso hit it at one point. It upset his car, and that was why he crashed.
Dang.
But during qualifying, it definitely added a ton of variance to what we were seeing.
Yeah.
But like, anyway, yeah, just weird that spot caused so much havoc. I think that it amplified it times a million with the rain. But again, we haven't gotten to the race yet. We're still talking about qualifying.
Yeah.
Everybody was dipping a wheel just enough for qualifying, but during the race it got way more chaotic.
Yeah. Let's just go into the race then.
Okay.
Because I was like, I don't know anything else from qualifying. We practice. Ollie Behrman got his crashes out during practice.
Yes.
Which was good because all the rookies saved their crashes for the race.
Yes, which was ultra embarrassing.
And everyone feels so bad for Isaac Hajar.
Yeah.
Dude, what a way to start.
Yeah.
We thought Lance would be the one crashing in the formation lap. And yet he did it.
And I felt horrible for Jack Doohan. I felt horrible for Isaac Hajar. Both of them crashed out. I didn't feel as bad for Liam Lawson.
No, for some reason, there's not a lot of sympathy.
Yeah, I'm not feeling a lot of sympathy for Lawson's accident. It's definitely just as crappy.
Well, we knew that Isaac was going back to the garage to get spanked by Helmut Marko.
Yeah, he was definitely getting in line.
There's a little spank machine, and they spank the new guy for crashing.
It's actually
lap.
The spanking machine is just what they call the team. Everyone gets a turn. You have to walk past. It's kind of like when Dale Earnhardt won the Daytona 500. But it's spanking.
They all
line up, and you just have to walk past and get.
Oh gosh, it was brutal. They didn't show that, but you can pay for an extra subscription fee, and you get to see the spanking machine at the V-Carb garage.
It's in the onboard cameras.
Yeah, it's a hidden onboard camera. You can see spank machine.
You just have to click around on the screen until you find it.
But Lewis Hamilton's dad stopped and talked to him. He's like, "Hey, never be Lewis Hamilton.
You'll never be my son.
Learn that now.
But good luck moving
Everyone
forward.
Thinks I'm encouraging you.
I'm going to tell everyone I said nice things.
Get off the course now." Anyways, chin up.
Yeah. He's just worked so hard to be here. In the press, it's just immediately
I know what you're going through. You will never succeed.
Lewis did this once, you understand me? And it wasn't his first race.
You think you can compete with Lewis?
Never.
Anyway. Have a great day. Have a great season.
Oh, it's just too bad the helmet's so hard on him.
The mind games in Formula One.
Just next level.
From people who aren't even really in the sport. It's so brutal.
Everyone thinks Yas is unhinged.
Little do we know, Lewis Hamilton's dad is bonkers. What's his name?
Anthony Hamilton.
Anthony, man, I knew you'd know.
Yep.
I knew you'd know.
No, good guy. High five to him.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that he did that, especially because we knew that this is what helmet would do. Because immediately after the race, they interviewed him. They said, what do you feel about it? And he's like, I think it's embarrassing. I think what Isaac did walking through the paddock with his head down like that was embarrassing.
Oh, gosh.
And it's just like, what is your deal?
Yeah, this
guy
is the worst. We've called him Darth Marco for a reason. He's pure evil.
He's never had a therapist.
No.
Or talked to one or ever had a course on this ever in his life.
No, he's never felt love.
It's for sure the problem. So
he's just jealous.
Yeah.
Jealous of those that can feel love.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's different when you were Alpine. I'm like, I look at Jack Doohan's situation and they just silently hate him as opposed to being Darth Marco.
Yeah.
And publicly.
It was crazy. So like it was raining all day long up to the race.
Yeah.
And they had canceled the F2 race, red flagged it and just canceled it.
Just
like
not gonna
too
happen.
much rain. Crazy. Yeah. And then it's like the rain like was almost
subsiding.
gone by the time the race started.
Right.
We still had a very wet track, and Isaac crashed out on the formulation lap.
Formulation. That's what they call the first formation lap of the year. Is a formulation.
Well, the formulation lap. And then how long after that was Jack doing? Was it like lap 1 or 2?
It was pretty
4
early.
or 5. Yeah, it was pretty early.
It was pretty early.
And for a while there, I thought that it was just gonna be the rookies
just
taking themselves
attrition.
out one by one.
Yeah, totally.
And little did we know that Carlos spun out on the last turn.
Yeah.
And that was a shock.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, no, he worked so hard all weekend.
Yeah.
Such a good showing.
Uh-huh. Really showing well in qualifying with the Williams. Yeah, it was amazing. And then
he and Albon.
Yeah.
Great work.
We actually know someone that was at the race.
Yeah.
And they were just at the airport. They're at the airport right now.
Okay.
And they bumped into the Williams team. The mechanics, and they were saying that it wasn't Carlos's fault. He had something wrong with the torque on his car, and it caused him to kind of like spin out and go into the wall. So,
I mean, I heard him say that over the radio, but it's good to have it confirmed from the team.
Yeah, any driver,
will
like
a torque surge.
A good driver will never take blame for anything they did.
Yeah,
it's always the car.
like that.
It's always the car
when it's raining. Yeah, it definitely wasn't my fault. There was a small. Did you guys see that small tsunami? It came towards my car, rushed quickly. The fans ran. They were fearing for their lives.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm happy to hear that the team at least
because Albon crushed it.
Yeah.
Through the whole race. I feel like Carlos would have been up there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so kind of moving forward, it's like we had the 2 rookies crash. Carlos crashed.
Yeah.
And it got quiet. Track started to kind of dry out. Race really got moving. And then, lots of talk of that threat of Category 3 rain. And
that's the highest category.
Yeah.
I was, because we were watching the race together, and it was like Category 3 rain, and you and Kevin, producer Kevin, were like, that's the worst.
Yeah, that's like the highest
I
one.
didn't know how they ranked the rain.
Yeah. I was glad that Charles
1, 2,
Leclerc.
and 3?
It's like Charles Leclerc thinks that he's in a pundit or something, because when they were like, Category 3 rain, 20 minutes, he came over the radio and he was like, that's high.
Well, we already know Charles was pretty worried about water at that point. He was up to his neck in water.
He was jacuzzi tubbing.
Early on in the race, he was like, there's a leakage. And he's like, there's water in my seat. And they're like, that's probably the water. And he's like, yeah.
It's the best exchange. It's amazing it's amazing how quickly Ferrari can give us radio gold.
Gosh.
It's been one race.
Yeah.
We already have such a good
Ferrari
moment.
worked so hard during the off season to make us feel like they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like they brought on Lewis.
Yeah.
It's like they have these cool race suits.
Yeah.
New like
Time magazine cover.
Oh my gosh,
Lewis.
Fred Vasseur's crushing it. They brought on Angela back to help with Lewis.
Yep.
It's like, wow, this team looks like they're shaping up.
Yep.
And then you get a comment like, that's probably the water. You're like, oh no.
blown
things aren't looking good.
strategies, just the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Here we are again.
So like, yeah, it was no surprise that when like the rain started coming, Charles was a bit worried.
Yeah.
He was like, I already have water in my car.
There's a leakage.
I'm going to have to breathe through the water tube now. That's
Yes,
in my
there's
mouth.
probably the water. I don't know why Charles, like tech, he's like, doesn't really sound Italian. He sounds like a robot.
It's AI.
It is AI.
It's AI.
It's just like, oh yes, that's probably the water. That's the only really explanation from me on why that response was
I
so
love the Ferrari
dry
AI.
tone delivered.
Yeah, still smarter than Bonotto. So amazing.
100%.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, Category 3 rain came
Yes.
and screwed everyone up.
Screwed the whole track.
Yeah.
I feel like Oscar's delivery in this race was so good.
Uh-huh.
He was catching Lando. He was applying the pressure.
Mhm.
And I feel like McLaren kind of screwed this up because let me just like walk the clock back a little bit on this.
What are you talking about?
So Oscar is chasing,
Mm-hmm.
making gains on Lando during the race.
Yeah.
And Kevin's leaned into the computer, which makes me think that do we need to stop for something? We're good. Okay.
Okay.
So Oscar's making
Kevin's not
gains,
even mentioning the chat right now.
which is probably a good thing. Maybe it's a little tamer than last week.
I mean, I'm not drinking I'm drinking root beer this week.
Yeah, it's a little more tame.
Noted. Do you want me to say apricot? And we saw this week there's lots of rooks. Rooks in the kitchen.
Rooks in the kitchen. Thanks, Sam.
Yeah. Kevin just said A&W is a wild live stream drink. Yeah. Last week the podcast was sponsored by Taco Bell.
Yes.
This week it's sponsored by the A&W Taco Bell
Mash.
crossover.
Those weird restaurants you're not sure if you should order chicken from or
Yeah.
Taco Bell.
What can you trust?
Yeah.
You can trust A&W.
Okay, so anyways, moving back.
Okay, yeah, McLaren.
So Oscar was making gains on Lando,
Mm-hmm.
and the team came over the radio and said, hold position.
What part of the race was this at?
This was middle-ish.
Okay. Yeah.
They came over the radio and told him, hold position, and Oscar faded so bad. He dipped the wheel in the gravel. He lost a little ground on Lando. And I felt like this decision to randomly tell them to hold position kind of threw off his progress. He was making crazy gains.
Yeah.
And then they were like, lap or two later, then they were like, okay to race. And then he started to make gains again. But then this threat of rain conversation came in and kind of messed with him. Fernando Alonso, somewhere in the middle here, also crashed.
That's right. Yeah. Fernando crashed, which was
super uncharacteristic.
Weird. We thought
but
it was Stroll.
Yeah.
We really did. I was like, that was Stroll.
Oh, and let's Stroll. Oh, sorry. That's just a
I feel like
knee-jerk
Crofty
reaction.
did say that. Stroll's in the wall. Oh, Alonso.
Oh, Fernando's uncharacteristic. But yeah, like
We
again,
had a safety car in there.
the gravel was
Playing,
super duper playing into that. Yeah. But yeah. So, anyways, then they were clear to race. Then they were heading towards the Category 3 rain,
Mm-hmm.
and then they were like trying to time that correctly, and they just, oh man, they hit that the second to last corner or third to last corner just wrong, and both the McLarens are off the road in the gravel trap.
I feel like that was way later in the race.
It was,
yeah.
but at this point, because Max had already messed up, and that's what gave Oscar the pass.
Yeah.
At one stage. Anyways, we're kind of going over this in a crazy way.
Yeah, we're all over the place.
But-
just like the McLarens at the end of the race.
Yeah, but I felt like that was a game of luck at that point
Mm-hmm.
because Lando was able to recover,
Yeah.
came back on the road, kept
Yeah.
it straight, kept going.
At that moment, I felt like Oscar was about to win the race.
For sure.
It was crazy.
And-
And if you're new, it was new to me this week that like no Australian has ever gotten on the podium in their home GP.
Ricardo's the only guy who's ever gotten a podium,
And they took
and
it
they
away.
stripped it
Uh-huh.
because of a technicality. I don't remember what the technicality was, but I think it was fuel,
Mm-hmm.
like the amount, like Sebastian Vettel.
Sebastian Vettel. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were gonna have Oscar on the podium at least.
Potentially the first winner
Yeah, it was
at a
gonna
home
be
Grand Prix in
crazy.
Australia.
Yeah.
So nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And
It was wild that they
massively
both
disappointing.
went off at the same corner at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, and Oscar just like went too far into the grass.
Yeah.
And that grass just looked like a slip and slide.
Yeah.
There's no way to stop on that grass.
And then, of course, in true Oscar fashion, he was funny about it.
Mhm.
Afterwards, when they interviewed him, they were like, what happened? And he was like, well, I got stuck. And luckily, I spent some time in the off season reversing tractors at Clarkson's farm.
He did, yeah.
And so I got some practice in it. That really helped.
The guy has charm, dude.
He's the best.
You give that to Lando.
He'd be crying. He'd be crying. He'd be like,
yeah. He wouldn't have a clever comeback.
You're right. No.
But it was fun to see him determined to get out of that grass area.
Oh yeah.
Like he's not DNFing at the Australian Grand Prix.
He didn't give a DNF.
Yeah.
About stopping.
Yeah. And to see him slowly backing out, I feel like the broadcast had given up on him.
Oh yeah.
They're like, oh, he's out.
No, but nothing was better
and
as
we forgot about him. We're like, oh, suck. He like DNF. That sucks.
Falling down the order.
It was like 2 laps later. It's like, he's moving.
Yeah. And then he
Just
hits tarmac and the whole crowd is like, ah! You can hear the crowd so loud.
It was like it's like he did get a podium. They were loving that he got back onto the track and got that car going again.
I was stoked.
Yeah, I was stoked. So fun.
I'm gutted for him, but I think that like that's part of what makes him such a good racer is that he didn't get emotional about it.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't let that defeat him. He's just sort of like, oh yeah, I learned how to back a tractor up this postseason.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, good. You're ready to take on this championship this year.
Yes.
And you're in the super strong car.
Mm-hmm.
And what was he, 800ths off of Lando's qualifying time?
Yeah, he was.
It was so
close.
freaking close.
It's going to be a fun little competition between those two.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then the closing laps of the race to have Max and Lando that close.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It's great.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Well, let's go back a little bit. Let's talk about that big like jumble when the Category 3 rain hit. Was that it? What caused the safety car? Yeah, maybe you can help me figure out the turn. Like
Lawson.
The
Lawson and Bortoletto crashed.
Oh, how did Lewis get in first?
Oh, because it was just everyone was pitting.
Everyone was pitting for intermediates,
and he stayed out on.
He stayed out on
hard tires.
Yeah, and for a second there, it was crazy.
Yeah, Ferrari won too.
Yeah.
And it was like, if this rain stops, this is the most bonkers. Everyone wanted result for the first race of the season.
Yeah.
And of course,
you can't hold on. It was just a little too wet.
Yeah, it was way too wet.
And then it eventually did kind of dry up.
Yeah.
But like, you can't like predict the future like that. But still, I almost feel like Ferrari somehow messed that up for Lewis.
Yeah. I mean, if they had pitted at the right time, or if they had even, it's hard to say. Mm-hmm. It's hard to say. But like if they had stayed out and left him out on the medium or the hard or whatever, and they were behind the safety car. Mm-hmm. So I felt like they weren't nearly as at risk of sliding off. Oh,
okay. Okay. Oh, yeah. Kevin just let us know that it was Alonso's crash that resulted in like everyone going in and switching up, hitting under the safety car, and Ferrari getting first.
We know that all of our listeners got used to having Kevin's voice last week. We're gonna have to work through. Yeah. We're gonna have to work through.
It's either the multicam setup or Kevin talking.
Yeah.
So in the chat, vote. What do you want more, cameras or Kevin? Vote now.
We volunteered Kevin as tribute. Which, speaking of which, was a comment that you made last night. You're like, I'm pretty sure this race is just the Hunger Games.
Oh yeah,
we're just gonna hear a cannon.
Yeah,
and
it was just people dying. It was like, and they'd look up and be like, "Alonso is gone." And it's like, oh
in the sky.
Yeah, it was like Lawson is gone. It was wild.
It literally,
people were dropping.
It
like
was
flies.
The most insane thing.
Oh man, it was around that time. If we want to go back to Haas for a second, Haas qualified like 18th and 19th.
Yeah,
only because Lawson didn't qualify at all.
Yeah,
so like. They would have been 19th and 20.
Right.
And they ended, 13th and 14th?
Yeah.
They had a great race.
Yeah. Given all the
6
factors.
people behind them did leave the race.
Didn't finish.
And there was a brief moment in there where they were on inters. Everyone had like gone to the slicks thinking it would dry up.
Right.
And they could see the dark clouds coming.
Right.
And they held off for a couple laps. And then it was like a final last second call. They're like, go in for slicks.
Yeah.
And then they had to go back in again for the intermediates. It's like, oh gosh, just
like if you
follow your gut
out. Yeah.
And if you had stayed out, we could have gotten higher up.
Yeah.
Definitely like a 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
possible points finishes for sure.
So that was frustrating. But again, it goes back to the idea like you can't really predict the future. You're going off with the team. I feel like Gunter was always the one to take the biggest risk And
the
if
risk king.
that would have been a call from Gunter to be like, no, stay out.
Yeah,
We're going to see if this pays off for us if everyone goes for the wrong tire.
Yeah.
We're already out there.
Do you feel like that's culturally the reason why they probably went against it? It's like, we can't do this. We can't do what Gunter would have done.
Yeah.
We have to be better than that now. You know what I mean? It's like, now you're overcorrecting.
Uh-huh.
So anyways.
But props to Ollie Behrman, one of the rookies that didn't crash. So good job for him.
Proud of him.
Can we?
Likewise with Ocon, I know that like giving him a hard time, but like the fact that first race with the team and kept it on the road, like no dramas, very simple, straightforward deal. So
yeah.
But you want to know the thing that I actually was going to admit today
about what
is that I have to give Lando credit for this race.
Okay.
As much as I normally am here to just harass him and make fun of him, this was the most man up, delivered a solid result race I've seen from him, period.
I mean, last week we kind of talked about, we're like, was last year winning the Constructor Championship a defining moment for Lando to be like, okay, I know what it's like now.
Yeah.
Like, it's time and I'm in the mindset.
I've got confidence under my belt.
Yeah.
I can maybe deliver now.
Is this now the Lando that like is confident? And that race, you're right. It was a really good race for Lando.
Yeah.
I don't think he made a lot of mistakes, especially in the rain. It was a great drive.
Both Oscar and Max had moments. Lando went off, but that was because of the rain.
Yeah.
And he
almost
super fortunate.
Out,
super fortunate it didn't go worse. But yeah, just a really solid day for him. And obviously came away with the win, which was the result that, the only one that was acceptable.
It makes me worried that, and maybe you have a different take on this, but we all know that the rain is kind of like the equalizer. That's what Ayrton Senna would say. Like, rain makes everyone equal. All the cars are the same in the rain. So it's just driver skill against driver skill.
The McLaren definitely looked better than everything. It looked better, in the rain,
and it made me worried. I'm like, is this now a dry track? Are we just going to see the McLaren disappear?
Right. I don't know.
And I mean, they were pulling away 10 laps in. There was a big gap between the McLarens and the rest of the field.
Max.
Yeah.
15 seconds.
And I'm like, next race is looking like McLaren's going to take it too.
Yeah, totally.
And so I feel like I'm hoping Oscar is going to take a lot of wins away from Lando. But yeah, are you pointing at us?
He's got a text message.
Okay. A question from a listener.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Is the pressure off signs now that the first race ended in a crash? If he had something to prove and it didn't happen. Oh, okay. And that's from Carlos.
That's from Carlos Sainz?
A mezcla.
Oh. I was like, Carlos is asking questions about himself?
If the pressure is it off of me now that I crashed, please help me.
Fast ones. I know you have a big pole in the world.
I know that you guys prefer.
Please, you're my guiding star.
I just want to make sure that we are on the same page.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
It's a good question. Thanks, Carlos.
I do think that.
Thanks, Carlos, for braving the chat.
Yes. Yeah. Watch out for Parker. No, but I mean, I think the pressure's off him for just the delivery and like testing and a few things. And again, hearing that the torque surge was the cause for his crash. But I think that like Carlos is a lift the team kind of character as well.
Yeah.
So an Albon result still is such a positive for Carlos because he's bringing so much to the table. And even James Vowles said after the race that the strategy for timing of bringing Alex in to get intermediates was Carlos's call.
Oh, okay.
He sat on the pit wall and was like, I would do it now.
Wow. Cool.
And so they leaned on Carlos. They're like, okay, call Alex in. And they timed it perfect.
Wow.
Yuki, they didn't time it right. And Yuki finished outside of the points. And
that's
Alex
another thing. Yeah.
Timed it and finished top 5.
Yeah. That's good. I don't think Carlos is someone who would get phased by that in particular.
No.
He's been in the sport long enough. He seems to have like the grit and the determination to not let something like that get to him. And I think Williams only has up to go. Like they're only looking forward. So
right. And it's like I read something today that like this first race, Sauber got more points in Australia than they got all of last year.
Yeah.
I think they got 6 points with Nico or something. And last year was total of 4.
Yeah.
So it's like
Nico had a great race.
These results for both teams are insane.
Yes.
Insane comparatively.
Yeah. And insane that they're both doing better than Haas. And it's frustrating.
I mean, a part of me thinks that that's a strategy play because we talked about this previously as we rolled into the 22 regulations. What did the teams do to get to optimize wind tunnel time? Because where you place in the constructor championship is how much time you're allotted to be able to test with a wind tunnel. And now that we're moving into a new regulation next season where they're completely redeveloping the aerodynamics, Haas could benefit massively by finishing lower in the order and having more wind tunnel time to themselves to be able to develop.
Yeah, so I see what you're saying.
Because
So
Nikita Mazepin and Mick Schumacher's first season in Haas,
they
were so off the pace.
And Gunter had blatantly said,
Like,
we
didn't develop the car.
Yeah.
And
we're going to save all of our money and wind tunnel time for next. That makes sense.
I'm kind of feeling like this might be the same play. We're a smaller team.
Yeah.
Not as much budget. This was the play to kind of make it so that our 26 year is
because 26 is going to be a big year.
Yeah.
New car regulations and things. Okay, that makes sense. And yeah, it makes it hard to.
It's heartbreaking because we were so fast last year.
Yeah, we were so fast last year, and
So
it
the
was
promise
so
is
fun
huge.
to be like, ooh, P7. It was so close to P6 last year.
Yeah.
It was like, ooh, P6, P5 this
If
year.
Gasly didn't have that like late season resurgence.
If they didn't get super lucky in Brazil,
yeah, totally.
that was what it was.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, we were hoping for that, but yeah, I mean, I'm still going to root for the team all year and hope that they perform well, hope they get some points. But if that's the strategy, if this is what it looked like this weekend,
Yeah,
it's kind of like disheartening.
yeah. The hope is a little less.
But then you hope for 2026 that they show up super strong.
That they're lightning quick.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I think Ayo Komatsu is smart, and maybe it's a good year again for like Ocon and Ollie to be like, okay, get your feet underneath you in the car.
Yeah, adapt to the
then
team.
Let's get
Get
something
to know
going
your
for next year.
engineers and everything. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So could be the play. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where we think that that's the play, and then they show up to the next race and they've got a fat upgrade package that we didn't expect. And the
Maybe it was
car's
just the
fast.
rain that kind of threw him off.
Well, I mean, and that's another thing that we didn't even address, but
Yeah.
Albert Park is a racetrack that is the 4th fastest on the calendar.
It
think-
looks fast.
I think Martin Brundle said that like 15 times across the weekend, but it is the 4th fastest on the calendar. And to do that in the rain is nuts. Monza doesn't, like, they don't barely have, I don't remember Monza in the rain. I feel like it never rains in Italy. So what do you think of, or it's rained at Imola, but like Monza, I don't remember. Yeah, so Australia's the same way. It rains, it pours kind
Yeah.
of thing. And so, but this track is a park. Like Albert Park is literally a park.
Okay.
And they've painted lines all over the road for the bike paths, for like where the cars go. And the surface isn't really like this. Even Monaco is like a public road. So there's even just a little bit more like use of cars driving it on every day to make that surface a little bit more grippy. And it's like Albert Park is this kind of just like park road with bike paths. And it rained on that thing. And it just, there's so much paint, which was part of why everybody was having these crazy twitches, is because that stuff is so unbelievably slippery on a slick tire.
Yeah.
Or even just a
As soon as you get that paint wet,
yeah,
it's no grip.
No grip at all. And so the fact that there's so much paint all over the road made it so there was just no traction at all.
I didn't ever consider that.
Yeah.
Dude, one thing that was amazing, speaking of like engineers talking on the phone to their driver.
Yeah.
Man, Lewis, the whole race was having a good time with his.
Lead me to it. Just lead me to it. Don't need to be reminded. Don't say it twice.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
Every single conversation between Lewis and his engineer was just like, in essence, just like, shut up.
Yeah.
Could you just shut up?
Yeah. Would you go talk to Bono for 15 minutes? And he'll tell you what I want, which is you to be so silent. I don't want to hear anything.
And it was kind of nice as a fan to be like, oh my gosh, someone is finally kind of telling the Ferrari pit wall, no. Like,
yeah.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, totally.
It was very Kimi Räikkönen.
It was.
I feel like he's just like, leave me to it.
Yeah,
I know what I'm doing.
Gloves. Gloves.
Yeah. I feel like Charles Leclerc has suffered from this this thing where he just like kind of like gives into the pit wall.
Right.
And we've talked about it on the podcast, like he needs to be more assertive. When is he going to step up and be the guy who's like, no, we're doing this plan. I'm getting tires at this moment. I want to go this hard. And Lewis is now in there, lots of experience.
Right.
And he's not going to take that from the pit wall.
I think that like Lewis isn't like Carlos, where Carlos is really good at being assertive, but he does it in a way that feels like he's not attacking you. Lewis's personality is much more like, I'm going to tell you straight up, I don't want to hear you right now. He's more like Kimmy. Carlos Sainz, when he would just be like, I don't think that's the best strategy. I think we need to switch tires at this point. We need to do it this way. He was always really
more diplomatic in how he did it.
super diplomatic. Lewis is
and it's weird. I've never seen Lewis be
aggressive
that way before.
Right.
And maybe it was because him and Bono were so in sync.
Right.
And he had developed that relationship over his whole Mercedes career. That me as like a newer fan, I'm like, yeah, like Lewis has never been this assertive to someone on radio.
Totally.
And so, yeah, it's a new relationship, new team, and interesting to see and hear.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
No, it was a new dynamic. It was entertaining as could be watching the race and just like, oh, we're just in a discovery phase here.
Yeah.
Lewis is,
yeah,
he's getting frustrated for sure. But I think also the result, like where he was, P9, P10,
man,
it's a difficult spot to be.
And for a split second to be leading the race.
Yeah.
Ooh, it was really
I mean,
close.
I am super interested to see how, because like right now I feel like we have no real reflection of what the Ferrari pace actually looks like.
I don't know. I feel like they couldn't keep up.
Yeah. I mean, in qualifying, I felt like they kept a pretty good lap time.
There was like a rumor that they might have been sandbagging in qualifying because they knew rain was coming. And they had to like prepare for the rain setup.
Set up a little bit more on like a.
But to me, I'm like, they're not looking fast.
No.
I mean, the Mercedes outpaced them. The Red Bull outpaced them.
Right.
And the McLarens obviously outpaced them.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy because like Ferrari finished second last year and it was a close second in the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah. I mean,
so, I'm worried.
I think there's some factors there. I think that setup is also something that is like when you're finding the true pace of the car and understanding it.
Yeah.
Setup is something that's hard to discover. This is one of the things that I think is so stupid about testing is that like you go to Bahrain, you spend 3 days testing, but you're so afraid of showing your hand that you don't do light fuel load running, which is what qualifying is, right? Or like a fast time in the race.
Yeah.
But you need to be able to run on light fuel to be able to understand the setup of the car. So you get Charles and Lewis in this qualifying scenario where they're taking the Ferrari to its absolute limit. And it's the first time they have ever pushed it that hard on a light fuel load. And they're discovering, oh, it doesn't really behave.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, if you'd done that in testing, you would have had a better start.
Maybe this is a dumb question, but why are they so scared to go full send in like early season testing?
It's a great question.
It's like, are other cars going to be like, oh, they're fast, we're going to make a new car in 2 weeks?
I think that like
what is the point?
I think it really stems from kind of like the Braun GP thing because like, I mean, they've been doing it forever, so I don't want to act like it's not, like it's a new thing. But like the Braun GP era, they became a target because they had a piece of technology that was like nobody else had it. That double diffuser was stupid fast. The Braun GP car was so unbeatable that then it created a political war with the FIA being like, that car's illegal, investigate. And so a lot of the teams are really hesitant to show their hand in testing because then they go
it's just like PTSD.
Well, it's just they're going to go into the season knowing that everyone's launching some kind of political warfare at them.
I think that's a good take. Like, not put it past any of those team principles.
I think that's
who Christian Horner is,
right?
You know who Toto is.
They've all been guilty of being like flexible wings.
Yeah,
flexible wings. They're cheating.
Yeah,
and it's like, shut up.
Yeah,
just shut up and race.
Yeah,
their car's faster. It's not because the wing flexes.
Yeah,
it's because you suck. Make your car faster.
Okay, that's a good argument for that, and I would get behind that. It is kind of frustrating.
Flexible wings does make a difference. I don't want to sound too ignorant again, but but it's like one of those things where it's just like it gets to be too much. If you get too much into those weeds, it does get a little bit like, okay, you're seeking out the some smoke. And so anyways, it's I think that's where it stems from.
Yeah.
So
man. So yeah, Lewis at Ferrari, that was wild. I'm skeptical Ferrari will be fast, but like you said, that was just their first race. Maybe it'll go quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully. I'm hoping that they've got more.
Red Bull last year started out really strong. and then they faded quick.
Yeah.
Even if McLaren takes off with a couple wins
That's
for the
because
season.
Adrian Newey quit, but
Adrian who? Guy's overrated.
it's super.
He only
overrated.
has like 20 championship cars under his belt.
But
But like McLaren might fade halfway through the year.
I mean, it's
a
possible.
long year. Yeah,
It's
things
possible.
change.
And I was, something that we were talking about last episode was kind of anticipating like where some of these teams might fall because they've gotten so much that Red Bull engineering staff has dispersed itself.
Yeah.
You got Adrian Newey that's gone to Aston Martin. You have Rob Marshall who's at McLaren. Rob Marshall is the representative who stood on the podium with Lando and Oscar. They're the ones that sprayed champagne on him the whole at the podium ceremony. So
Mhm.
Rob Marshall has played a huge role with Andrea Stella's performance at the McLaren, and he worked at Red Bull. And then you have Jonathan Wheatley, who's the sporting director, who's now gone to Sauber. So we're seeing a lot of that team disperse, and we're seeing a lot of these cars rise
Oh, yeah.
and get
I get what you're
more
saying.
competitive and faster. McLaren's obviously at the top, but yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see how some of those cars now cope with. Jonathan Wheatley just started at Sauber, and Adrian Newey started at Aston Martin, but like ago or at the
Mhm.
beginning of this month.
Yeah.
So
Crazy. Dude, how cool was that Louis Vuitton trophy case?
I mean, the whole.
How cool was the Louis Vuitton branding across the race?
Yeah, I wish you guys could see Kevin.
Kevin
right
just
now.
like started drooling.
He was just like
He's like, oh my gosh.
he had as much drool on his
Louis
chin as Lance
Vuitton.
Stroll does on a normal day.
It's pronounced Louis
It's a lot.
Vuitton. Yeah, man. The branding of the Louis Vuitton across the track was so sick.
It's rad. I like
Oh,
the
gosh.
podium. I'm a sucker for all
Uh-huh.
this. It does look cool.
Yeah.
I do kind of wish the tag wire didn't have such like a weird aesthetic at the moment. I'm gonna be that hater. I don't love all of their watches.
Okay.
I love tag like Octavia wire. I love like or Hewer or however you want to pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a lot of the tag watches that I do really like. But like the watch that's at the pit lane, I'm like, that's cool, but it does look a little bit like your goofy ones. Like, why not one of the cool ones? But this is me. I like vintage, cool aesthetic. So, I mean, I'm the wrong customer for this, admittedly. But I just love how classy the Rolex was. It was just really
the
classy.
Rolex was very classic. It was historically classic. Like it just felt like a heritage of racing.
right.
It's the new.
Yeah, it's gonna take me time to get used to it.
But we do want some Louis Vuitton gear.
Yeah.
So Louis,
So send it our way.
yeah.
PO Box fast ones.
Send us one of those Louis cases full of cool shirts.
Yeah.
Do they make cool shirts?
I don't know.
Or
They
just purses? How many purses do you own, Kevin?
Satchels?
Just one.
Just one. Okay.
Dang,
We're
dude.
gonna have to up that count now.
I'm actually wearing Louis Vuitton cologne tonight.
Oh, are you?
I am actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was when we went to Las Vegas. Actually, no, this was from when I
Was
went.
it a sample from a magazine?
It was, no, this one was from Chicago. And I did go into the Louis Vuitton store in Chicago and ask to sample colognes. And they usually give you a little thing of sample. And this is a hack. You go into these places and you ask for samples. I have lots of Louis Vuitton cologne. I've never bought any of it. And this one's called Imagination.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm imagining a Haas podium.
Oh,
Thank you, Louis Vuitton.
glad that we have that.
Dude,
That's
We'll
all we
see.
got going for us at
we'll
this
see.
stage.
Man, Yuki,
Oh man,
out of nowhere.
I'm gutted for him.
We're gutted for him.
But
And
what
also,
a race!
And everyone's being like, yo, he just sent a message
Yeah,
to
totally.
Red Bull.
Yeah.
And
Less controversial message than what's been sent in the past on WhatsApp.
Do you think Helmet
at Red
cares
Bull.
about the message? No, he doesn't care.
No.
He just cares that
You just
he
call
got to
him-
spank Isaac.
You call him a Z-rate driver.
Gosh.
He's a Y-rate driver. It's like, why? Because his name starts with Y?
Clever. You're so not clever, Helmet.
Darth Marco.
But he got fifth in
Yeah.
qualifying.
Right.
Crazy to
Yeah.
go from last year to that in that leap.
Huge.
That is a massive leap.
Yeah.
And he unlucky race, but exciting to see what's going to happen in the next coming races for Yuki and for VCAR. It'd be fun to see what Isaac can do on the track after the Formation
Isaac
lap.
out-qualified all of the rookies. He was the
Yeah.
fastest rookie out of
Mhm.
all of them.
Yeah.
And like, kudos to him.
Mhm.
Amazing job. It sucks that the race went the way that it did, but like, again, I think a lot of the guys that are out there right now, like all of the team principals and everything, recognize that the track was extremely slick, more so than any other track that they race on in the rain. And with all the paint lines and all the factors that were going on there, sucky situation, reset, forget it. Next week, let's see what he can do.
Yeah.
But I think that with that said, Yuki really outqualified Isaac. And so I'm very curious to see how China and the next few races go.
Oh, China's next. That's right.
So China and then Suzuka and Japan. And then there's there's a break between these two. So China this next weekend.
Oh, a double race weekend?
Yep.
Yes.
And
let's
then
go.
And then a break and then triple header.
Oh, shoot.
Suzuka,
We are getting a
Bahrain,
lot of races.
Yeah, it's off
That's
to a
awesome.
great start.
That's fun. Yuki in Asia.
Yeah.
These are going to be great races. I want to see these.
I'm super excited.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
Very cool.
But not to like end the episode like crazy early. That wasn't my intention with that.
Oh, were you ending the episode?
No, I was just saying like we were talking about the calendar, which is something we do at the end usually. So
yeah. No, the Australian Grand Prix was amazing.
It was great.
Yeah. And the hats at the end of the podium were cool.
Super cool.
I think we learned that the hats are going to be different for each country this year.
Yeah, every podium.
Where there's been
different.
a lot. There's been some like very standout hats they'll do special, like the Mexican like sombreros. They might do like they do helmets, like football helmets for
at the Miami Stadium.
At the Miami.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do cowboy hats in Texas. But no, this one is just a nice green looking hat for, the Australia colors of green.
Yes.
This is also a thing we talked about.
Yeah.
Australia has like 20 different ways to represent their national colors.
So confusing. It's like, why do you guys have so many
Their
national
flag is
colors?
red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
The native flag is black, yellow, and red.
Yep.
And then like every sports team is green and gold.
And you're like, wait, where's
How
the
is
green and gold? I live there.
Yeah.
It wasn't that green and gold.
No, it wasn't. But the hats looked rad.
Yeah.
I don't want one of those hats.
Yeah, no, they were super cool.
Uh-huh.
I like that they also made them so like it was the Leafs were gold, silver, and bronze on the bill of the hat for each position. It just felt like an
Little
extra
detail.
little, it's like
So
this
good.
is part of the trophy,
Uh-huh.
so it should be a little snazzy.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, I think in the past they've gotten to a point of being like extreme, like a sombrero or a football helmet.
Yeah.
And I think this year they're like, we're just gonna make a hat that's a color.
We're gonna go more classy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so over the top.
Yeah. Dude, let's talk. I know we talked a little bit about him. Let's go back to Kimi Antonelli.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yes.
I need to know, did he finish fourth?
He did.
He got reinstated
They
fourth.
reinstated the fourth.
Yeah, what happened there? What was the original kind of penalty?
It was an unsafe release in the pit.
When everyone went for like inters the last time?
I'm assuming that's when it took
Okay.
place. I don't feel like they showed it on TV
Yeah.
because we were watching together
Yeah, for sure.
and didn't see the moment that they were referring to. They just under investigation and then 5-second penalty. Right as they were about to cross the line on the last lap, which was such a bummer because he had such an incredible race.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was stoked to find out that they reinstated it.
Yeah, Kevin. After Fernando's crash. Hey,
okay.
Kevin, where did Kimi start the race? Because ending in fourth.
16th.
Did he? Yeah, he started below the points. I know that, and had an incredible charge
Just-
up the field. I think, given a few more races, this is something we wanted and predicted.
Yeah.
Give him time to figure out that car.
Dude,
Let's not have a rainy race.
Yeah.
And then let's see him creep up to George. Don't know what that was. 5, 10, 15, 12, 20?
12. 22.
Just say 12.
He started in 40 seconds.
Kevin's giving us these signals when doing numbers when he can just say 12. He's like,
so real.
okay,
So
so
real.
go from 12th to 4th.
Yeah.
Great drive from Kimi.
Yeah.
And makes me excited that like given
No.
a good dry track,
Amazing.
given a good race week that he's like gotten used to the car a little bit, I think George is in trouble.
Yeah, I do
And
too.
I love it.
No, like the fact that he finished right behind George,
Uh-huh.
he
He
spun.
made some incredible
He
overtakes.
spun during the
Some of those
race
overtakes
too, and
were
he still
nuts.
finished behind
Yes,
George.
this kid is wild.
He's freaking good.
Yeah.
And I was hopeful. Like I said it after qualifying to our group chat with you guys saying, hey, the thing that I'm looking forward to almost the most is that Kimmy's starting low because that's going to give him an opportunity in a car that we know is quick to pass everybody. And if he doesn't crash, what an opportunity for him to show stuff.
Yeah. And that was what he did.
Yeah.
So great. And yeah, bummed to see him like get a 5-second penalty, go back to 5th.
Yeah.
But they took it away. He's in 4th, dude.
Yeah.
That's a crazy show in your first race.
Totally.
Good job. That was awesome.
I feel like Kimi couldn't have impressed more.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, yeah, there's the other rookies, and we're talking about all of them and their individual strengths or whatever. But I think that like Kimi being able to have that car underneath him, what it did is it really highlighted how bad Liam's race was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh,
yeah.
Max finished in 2nd, and Liam didn't finish.
Liam qualified terribly.
Yeah,
and then didn't finish the
didn't
race.
even qualify.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember. But then had a terrible race, and then here we are. Kimi Antonelli finishes 4th. First time in an F1 car for an entire race, and he made Liam look like he was the first time in F1.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that, and Kevin texted me this on the side, which is that Liam joins the party of people who got fired at RBR.
Yeah.
Mid-season.
It's not out of the ordinary for Red Bull to do that to someone.
No, especially unbelievable drivers like Daniel, like Pierre, like Alex Albon, like all of these people who have had careers that Helmut Marko has just literally given up on.
Yeah. Or they might just make us all insanely crazy again
and just
keep
leave
them throughout the whole season. Maybe they're not trying to win a championship or trying to play mind games with other teams. They're just trying to mess with the fans' minds.
Yeah, really though.
Yeah, because that was Sergio last year. Yeah. Everyone's like, why is he here? What is going on?
Well, this is the other thing, is that it's like the amount of money that Red Bull had to pay Sergio Perez to let him go.
Man,
was an entire season paycheck?
Crazy.
I think that it was one of the seasons he was guaranteed that they had to pay him.
Man.
And now Liam hasn't even gotten points on the first race, which is like, wasn't this the point? Wasn't this the point of paying a guy out an entire season was to get points?
Yeah.
Ugh, brutal.
Yeah. People are saying that Red Bull car is just so catered to Max that it's impossible to drive, which seems likely.
I mean, I don't want to make physique comments, but like if I tried to fit into a suit perfectly tailored for you, it might be kind of uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah.
So I could understand that trying to drive a race car that's hyper tailored to Max and his oversensitive capabilities would be very difficult for anybody.
So difficult. Oh man, speaking of tailored clothing items, we talked a bit about helmets.
Yes.
And I think
not Marco.
No, not a helmet.
I'm like, wait,
he's not a cool helmet.
No, he's not a cool helmet.
A cool helmet is one. I think there's 2 cool helmets on the track this year: Lando's helmet, and Lewis's helmet.
Yep.
I love Lando's helmet because it's out of the ordinary for what you consider like normal race helmets. A lot of racers will have like the fast lines. It's all like speed and like sharp images and like their number and like maybe the team. Yeah. Very race. Yeah. Very
super duper predictable race helmet.
But Lando's is like neon green. It has like abstract circle images all over it. It doesn't look fast, but it looks so cool. And you can identify it real quick.
Yeah.
Lewis's is similar. It does have the sporty looking race lines, but it's yellow. And I love that it's so bold yellow.
It's that
contrasts really well with
gold
with
color.
The Ferrari.
Yeah.
So good.
It's a real good looking helmet for
and
sure.
Then I've been to races and we've been to races where like you're mainly looking for the helmet when they fly by because you can't really tell the difference between the cars.
Right.
So it's the helmet that's going to tell you who the driver is.
Right.
And some of the helmets just all kind of look the same. It takes a really quick eye to look, but you know when it's Lando, you know when it's Lewis.
Yeah.
You know when it's George, and that sucks.
Yeah. You know when it's George, and you're like, well, that's the one to throw a rock at.
Yeah.
Just to see if you can hit him in the finger. Everyone calm down. I'm not trying to say like kill the guy.
It was fun to see.
Just trying to break a finger. That's all.
It's fun to see the post race interviews and George like constantly walking in the background. I just felt like he's wanting more interviews. He's wanting more like camera time. Oh, did you want to interview me?
Did you finish with Lando?
Oh, are you a journalist? Were you looking for an interview?
Did you finish with Lando? I didn't mean to. Did I interrupt? Pardon me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, darn it. I didn't know.
Oh, you over there.
Oh.
Did you want my comment on the race?
I had additional thoughts. I forgot them when you asked questions, but I just remembered.
Yeah, he was searching for a lot of interview time. That was great. It was so great.
He's like, it's in my contract with Adidas that I have to get more than 3 questions. So I better serve that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So good work, George.
Good work, George.
Thanks for
We're
filling
looking
that.
forward to a lot more interviews this year.
Information that came through from Kevin is that the estimation via Nico Rosberg is that Red Bull paid Sergio Perez $16 million
to leave.
Jeez
Louise.
So Liam Lawson is looking like a 16 million plus mistake right now, which is brutal. And like, I'm cheering for him to some degree. I do want him to succeed because I am so tired of the second seat getting this.
Man, at my work, me and some coworkers put together some predictions for the year, and we all kind of selected some drivers. And whoever has like the most points based off of those drivers they chose by the end of the year kind of wins.
Yeah.
And Max and Liam, I chose.
Oh, okay.
And Liam better step it up.
You're like,
it's not looking good.
Need you to deliver.
Yeah. Max is looking good.
Yeah.
I'm not sad about Max, but Liam, it's not looking good.
I mean, I think the other thing that I want to kind of address is that like Jack Doohan got a lot of crap leading into this race that like, oh, it's only a matter of time before Franco Colapinto steps in and takes your seat.
Yeah.
Jack qualified well.
Mm-hmm.
The accident that he had during the race is unfortunate, but I think that everybody needs to remember that Franco had 2 horrific accidents at Sao Paulo.
Yeah, and rainy races.
Yeah,
same
and
thing.
so it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, don't jump to conclusions too quickly about Jack Doohan that are unfair, because that guy is literally like the first race and it rained, and there's just no way that is going to be fair to him. He needs more time. He had a great qualifying. I'm hoping that he can have a good race in the next couple races.
How did he do before he got to F1? Do you know?
I think he finished like 4th or something in Formula 2.
Okay.
But here's the thing that's challenging about like F2 is similar to F1, and I mean all of the series below are spec car series.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that the teams are created equal.
Okay.
And so like you do have discrepancies between what people can deliver. And Prema is one of the best in Formula 2, and like Andrea Kimi Antonelli and Ollie Behrman raced for Prema last year.
Okay.
And so to my knowledge, at least, I don't believe that Jack raced for Prema when he was in F2. So the occasional win and finishing 4th in the championships can be more like attributed to like what team
it gives
caliber.
them more weight if it's like a lower team.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like you have to take those things into consideration.
Gotcha. Okay.
They're not all capable of delivering awesome results.
Okay.
So you kind of have to take it for what it's worth.
Gotcha. Okay. I was just wondering. I actually didn't. I thought like, oh, I don't know like Jack Doohan's actual kind of like history.
His run record.
Yeah. How did he get into F1?
And he's an Alpine junior, so he was brought up through Renault's junior academy.
Okay. Cool.
So
awesome.
But I mean, he definitely impressed. He definitely had good results. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that still think that it's like a Mick Doohan thing that he's there. But I'm like, I've already seen enough.
Yeah.
I believe in him.
Yeah, I'm stoked to see what he's going to do, and I hope they give him a chance. Any comments from the chat? We're going to move into our Chinese Grand Prix quick preview, and then, oh no, he's waving us off. He's looking pale.
It is at 58 minutes, so
I hope you guys aren't being too mean to Kevin in the chat.
They already ditched. What a bunch of lamos.
Well, thanks to everyone who is in the chat.
Thank you for participating,
I
everyone.
hope you guys are enjoying the episode so far. And tell your friends all about it. Listen to us on Spotify, everywhere. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube. Click subscribe. Yeah, camera. Dude, we have multi-cameras now. Click subscribe. Okay, so Chinese Grand Prix this week.
Yep.
I've only seen a couple Chinese Grand Prix. It hasn't been back on the calendar for too long.
No, since COVID, it I think was last year the first year that they went back. I think
okay,
so.
yeah, this feels like a very new race to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because last year we learned it has a big old sweeping weird corner.
Has like a super
and
huge.
It's really hard to like navigate the apex on it or whatever.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because you have a big right hander that comes all the way around and then turns into a left. So it's a big old swoopy do right here.
Oh, okay.
So really cool. and the surface I remember last year being like super abrasive. They're really worried about tires.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they've done any resurfacing, so I should have done some research in our pre-race.
We can edit that out.
No, we can't because it's live. Kevin's shaking his head saying, no, we can't edit that out. But still a super fun race. Over the years, this has been one of the best. If, I don't know if it's going to be a rainy race. They have had rainy races in China, so we'll have to see how this one shakes out.
Dang. If 2 rainy races in a row could be really fun.
Yeah.
Also, I'm still being like, I want to see the cars at full speed.
Yeah, I kind of want a dry race now.
Like, you keep teasing me.
Yeah. Let's let them loose.
If it rains in Suzuka too, if we have to wait till like a Middle Eastern race.
Yeah. Well, in Bahrain it rained during
Gosh.
testing. So we haven't really.
What if we don't get a dry race until what is this, Jeddah?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
This
or Miami.
Jeez.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, global warming. Anyway, end on that political note.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Yeah. Welcome to thanks for watching the Fast Ones. Tell your friends.
2025. We'll see you next week.
Yes, multi-camera. Yes, finish on me.